Hey, pile three. So, pile three, you have this red jasper. Jasper is a stone for root work, grounding. Basically, what root work and grounding is that, as I was expressing to pile two, what could be the pile for you as well, if you want to check that out. We have a soul that inhabits our body, and our soul is made of energy. And so, as a result, we have a physical body and an energetic body. And as a result, that is why we have the chakras, which represent certain points where energy pulls basically in our energetic body. And those energies have influences on all the different things that we do, and all the different things that we do have effect on those energies. And if you are someone who suffers with anxiety, struggles to find mental clarity, uh, using stones like this for meditation or as a part of grounding techniques, basically getting yourself in tune with the physical sensations in your body, to help deal with those things and help to calm you down. Jasper is a good tool for that, and especially this red jasper, very closely tied to the root chakra, which is basically somewhere between, I guess you can say, the feet, so to speak. So let's see here. We have your tarot cards discussing your current situation. This person has been betraying you for clout, greed, basically anything that you may have been nervous about in this situation to have caused you to feel as if maybe you need to leave. So, first card out of the deck for the spread is most significant. We have the Three of Cups reversed. So, upright, the Three of Cups talks about community, friendship. It can also talk about reunions as well as celebrations of happy situations like weddings. It can also talk about multiple person reunions if you are not someone who follows monogamy. And when it comes up reverse, it talks about, well, the reversal of those things. The breakups of friendships, third party interference in monogamous relationships. It can also talk about a party being over, basically, or maybe even a pity party of sorts. With this being the first deck out, the first card out, excuse me, it represents what energies may be currently affecting the situation, which is where this is a card of joy. Reverse, it talks about there being unhappiness here. So let's see what else can be made clear from the rest of these cards. Okay, so we have the High Priestess reverse. Interesting. So the High Priestess is representation of a few things. One, divine feminine energy, your intuition, your sense of cognition, your connection to the divine energy, spirit, God. It can also talk about, I'm sorry, something is coming through. Okay. So what's being brought to my attention is that the High Priestess represents the mirror of you. So, with us having a soul and with us having a physical body, the physical body interacts here in the physical world, which is known as the 3D, and your soul interacts with the energy world, which is known as the 5D. And so the High Priestess, as you can see between these two pillars of night and day, represents basically these two pathways where you have a seat in heaven and a seat here on earth. And by bridging these two pathways, you make this connection that allows you to have divine insight, clarity, clairvoyance, psychic abilities, a strong sense of intuition, so to speak. And this is where you're able to locate and navigate divine wisdom by receiving information through your energetic seed or through your spiritual nature. You are able to divine certain outcomes and situations, receive insight or secret knowledge that you shouldn't have otherwise. This is something that usually people talk about with it being a sixth sense and sixth sense, like the sixth in a lineup coming before seven. I don't know why I have a lisp all of a sudden. Not to make fun of anyone who has a speech impediment. I just don't usually. So that caught me off guard. So this is also how you are knowing that you are a divine oracle, that you have those abilities. It could be in the form of clairvoyance, where you just, you know things. Clairvoyance, which is basically seeing from a distance, so you have visions. Claircognition, where you just have a knowing for no real reason. Clairaudience, which is what I have as an oracle. I hear spirit, I hear divine beings. They send me messages, and I convey those messages to other people. There can also be other forms of clairs where it's like, you can smell things, so you receive messages by smell. You can know things by touching things as well, or feeling things physically throughout your body as sensations. But it does talk about you being telepathic, so to speak, because you are able to know, see, or hear things without necessarily being present. And you can feel things without necessarily coming in contact with anyone or people, for example. So this came out reversed. So this talks about you not being in connection with these abilities. It could be because there are blockages with your connection. It could be because you are not trusting the information that you're receiving through this connection. It could also be that you are hearing it, but you're not taking it seriously. And so I guess that goes back to not trusting it. But for me, the way I see it is that you recognize that you have these gut reactions, and then you just don't follow them. And then there are people who are just like, nope, I didn't hear that. I didn't feel that. Nobody said anything like that to me, And this could be the reason why you are, here looking at this reading, because it's the High Priestess says that you should know. You should be able to navigate this situation based on your own innate knowing, whether this be a friendship or a relationship, that you should be able to navigate based on this information about what's going on here, why this is reversed. But for some reason, things aren't necessarily clear. And it could be that you need to do some root work, which I highly recommend you look into. Because meditation could be something that is of a great benefit for resolving this for you. Because the thing is that we have so much stuff that we have to do and manage all the time, living in a capitalistic society, if you're here in the West especially. But it also talks about how you could be using this ability to your best benefit, whether it's figuring out, whether you should go left or right, or knowing whether or not a project, a job, position, or relationship is going to be to your personal benefit. Okay, next card we have here is the Page of Coins. So the Page of Coins, that's interesting. See, so the pages represent basically you taking action on the potential represented by the aces. So with the aces going from 1 to 10 in completion of you pursuing something based on that suit. So with the coins, you're pursuing something that is material. So that could be money, finances, opportunities, projects, ideas that you're attempting to manifest physically here in the world. It could also talk about your health and things that you hold to be of value, like family or self-esteem, or what you put your time and energy into. And the pages are moving out on a new pursuit of whatever it is that is represented by their suit. So the coins. Oh man, and my nose is itching. So there's something really going on here. So the page of coins talks about feeling that something that they are pursuing is going to be of real personal benefit and has the opportunity or potential, I should say, to be something stable. So, for example, the pages are sometimes associated with being in a place of learning or apprenticeship, with the page of coins specifically can be talking about education. So maybe this is someone that you are sharing like school with, or a class. If like in this time that we're in now, this could be distance learning. It could also talk about this being someone that you share a home life with, or are hoping to share a home life with, or move in with one day. This could talk about somebody that, with the pages representing young people, maybe you have a child with them, or you're raising a young person, and this is someone that you are trying to develop a stronger sense of connection with. But whatever this represents for you, this is something that is you feel of a great benefit, something that could become something stable. So if this is a relationship, you may be hoping that this could build up to something that could be like a real like marriage or a long-term commitment, something that offers you some stability in the long run. And that's interesting because with the first two cards, it talks about there being some blockage here, which could be about your emotions, because the cups are representative of our emotional space and our expression of those emotions. So, of course, they are associated with our feelings, which can be very much tied into our relationships, romantic, family relationships, whatever. And with the High Priestess reverse, there could be something here that you're not seeing clearly, or was not seeing very clearly at first. And with this coming up reversed, of course, I always want to say that cards that come out reversed can be turned back upright. It's just that oftentimes there's something that needs to be addressed, some insight or clarity that needs to be gained, or some kind of action that you need to be taking. So that's interesting because the King of Coins is here, and that's coming here off of the page. Now the pages, while they do have great potential, they are immature. They have not yet gone through all the experiences that led to somebody being able to take up the mantle or throne of being a king, which is the full maturity in the court cards. So going from the page to the queen to the king, from the page to the knight to the queen to the king. With the King of Coins is someone who has a great deal of fortune in terms of finances. This is someone who is stable. This is a person who is associated with marriage, comfortable living. As you can see here in the background of this bunny, there's a castle here. So the kind of living that comes from having a great deal of wealth, or the ability to create wealth. This is also a card associated with specifically being a husband, or maybe even just a masculine in a situation that is that particular partner, because the kings are associated with taking action on things, while the queens are usually associated with being passive, or I would say maybe even being reactive with their energies and the way that they do things. So let's see. So the Page of Coins here and the King of Coins. It's interesting because I feel like the natural flow of things would see this as a reasonable progression, in terms of if you were wanting a situation that has just started or is just beginning to bloom to become something more serious. I would say that it's coming soon. However, with this circumstance being the reading we're having here talks about them betraying you, mistreating you, or basically taking advantage of you in some way. I'm curious as to what the circumstances here, are occurring here. So maybe you're wanting something to, grow, and you're unsure if they want that also. But let's pull the oracle cards here and see what insight they can give to us. Okay. So, card we have here is the crown chakra. So as with talking about the chakras before, the crown chakra is at the very top of the head, and it is through here that we receive basically all of our divine knowledge and insight. It is where the intuition is usually housed, if I were to say that. This is where, if you're, say for example, if you're having dreams, and I must be on the right path. Say you're having dreams about this situation. You may have the ability to have prophetic dreams, and so you're receiving information through your dreams from spirit, or say you have someone that's a part of your family line that's passed on, like a grandma or a great grandma. They're like, I had a dream about this thing. Or maybe like if they're talking about somebody having a baby, they'll be like, I dreamt about fish or something like that. The crown chakra is how they are gaining this knowledge, and as a result, I think this is spirit calling you to pay attention to whatever insights, feelings, or suggestions you may have felt have been trying to come through, and that they can give you further insight into how to pursue this situation. So let's see. The next card is discontentment and boredom, which is a 4. So in numerology, all of the digits, and especially how many digits are in a number, have a specific meaning. The crown chakra here is a 7, and 7s are associated with spirituality and intuition. The 4s are associated with stability and having a strong foundation. And this card specifically is related to the 4 of Cups, and in this oracle deck is known as discontent and boredom. So basically this comes from a situation not changing. I wouldn't say necessarily stagnation, but that is a word that came to mind, so I will put that out there. It talks about basically with the 4 of Cups, you not necessarily recognizing all of the opportunities around you because things either haven't turned out the way that you expected them to, or you are so married to having a specific outcome that you aren't paying attention to all of the things that are going on or happening around you. And this can lead to discontent and boredom because, well, if you're waiting for someone to make a move, like to propose to you or to, commit to you, you're probably sitting around feeling like a fool for even waiting on them. And that's real. I've been there. You think that somebody's going to make something happen and they haven't. And it can sometimes be that this can also be what the blockage is. Maybe this is a person that's a friend, for example, with the 3 of Cups. Maybe this is a friend that you want to move the situation into something deeper. And you're trying to send signals to them, but they're not picking up on the signals. And so things aren't happening and you're getting frustrated. And it could be that, maybe you're already in a relationship and you feel like this is meant to be, but they don't seem like they're trying to move this to a deeper level of commitment. Well, I will tell you right now, 4s are about foundation, 3s are about building. And one thing is for sure, is that 7 and 4 are 12, and 1 and 2 make 3. So it could be time for you to build with this person and to navigate the conversation into the direction of where you're both trying to go, what you're both trying to build up to. Or it could be necessary for you to let that go if they're just not trying to commit to having that conversation with you. Because there's one thing for sure is that there's way too much going on all the time for us to feel stuck in a situation that isn't moving and being frustrated when we could be making the move ourselves, either to move things along or, tell them to go to hell, whichever. We have patience. So, once again, talking about waiting for things to happen, waiting for things to grow, waiting for things to bear fruit, waiting for them to let you know. So maybe you've had the conversation, for example, and you're still waiting for them to come to some kind of a decision or to give you some, like help in like evolving the situation. This could be a discussion about you giving them time to either figure out or navigate whatever it is they have going on in their lives, or it is talking about you really needing to make some move yourself to nurture some growth in the situation. Because 14, when you break it down, is 1 plus 4, which is 5. And fives have a special tie to conflict, obstacles, and overcoming those things. So they're very much associating 5 with the number of being the number of change. And it's a natural progression from the 4 here, is that no foundation is going to stay strong or stable without having to go through some things, so that if it crumbles, you have to find out whether or not you can rebuild it and try again, or if it's really going to be found to be sound and you're going to have to test it. So if things have been they've been keeping the status quo, they like the way things have been, then it may be that it's time for you to bring this up as not just an event to cause problems, but talking about your feelings is not you trying to cause problems. And if they're resistant with things coming to a change, then that could be the information that you need to make the decision from there. But definitely don't feel like you need to sit around falling into despair about this just because you don't want to cause some kind of argument or something like that. If you present what you want to someone very reasonably and they react to it in a way that is negatively, that is also an answer for you. Either you guys can come to some reasonable compromise, or you are, using this as an opportunity to avoid having to have them tell you the truth, that they don't want the things that you do. That's just how it is. They don't want to marry you. It's not your fault that they don't want to marry you, but it definitely is your responsibility to move on from there and find someone who does. Okay. And then we have choose wisely, which is a 7. So very strong ties to spirituality in this particular spread. Spirituality and intuition. Choose wisely is also known as the 7 of Cups. It could be some fantasy here going on, something where you are feeling like you know what's going on, but maybe you're in a deep sense of denial about that. Maybe you have a bad habit about that, even where you are ignoring what you're feeling and you're trying to avoid having to have a difficult conversation. But either way, you've got to know where you're going with this. So even if it makes you uncomfortable, sometimes that's just a necessary part of change, of growth, and of finally being able to come to the end of a situation that you've been stuck in for a while. Because you never know. Maybe they're waiting on you too. And that can happen, Maybe they're also worried about losing you, and that's why they haven't brought it up. But you'll never know until you have the conversation. 8 of Swords. Gosh. 8 of Swords, y'all. The 8 of Swords. The 8 of Swords is significant in its message. And while the major arcana are oftentimes situations associated with you needing to learn some kind of profound lesson, or you're not recognizing your ability to change a situation. The 8 of Swords quite specifically talks about you choosing not to move forward. So this is like the kind of thing where you see how her hair is all tied up and there's really nothing else holding her here in this like cell made of swords. It's the same way. You are choosing not to move forward. You are keeping yourself trapped in the same place. You are not allowing yourself to progress, and you're doing it, I don't want to say it's on purpose, but even if it's happening in your subconscious, This is like some efforts, some conversations, especially with the swords being related to communication, that needs to happen in order to move things forward. And until you do that, you're going to be stuck in this same place, the same space of not knowing, but also not growing. Seven of Swords. So now the Seven of Swords has a very negative energy about it, because it's usually associated with betrayal, like, cheating, lying, deception, that kind of thing. But the Seven of Swords reverse talks about things needing to come to light, even if it is, like in a situation where you feel like it may make matters worse. It's another seven. So definitely calling back here to this message of intuition. It also fell right over top of the Choose Wisely card. So there's definitely emphasis here about you needing to come to some kind of a decision. See, the Seven of Swords is usually all of the things that have been happening behind the scenes coming to light. And it could be in a way where now that you have all the information that you need because you decide to move away from this Eight of Swords energy, you are able to come to a real conclusion. There's going to be some insight, some clarity about the situation. There's going to be an evolution of sorts in one way or the other. It could be in moving your relationship forward, or it can be in you removing yourself from the situation altogether. The Princess of Dis, which is the Page of Coins again. So when you have the same card come up twice from two different decks, this is a very specific message from Spirit. You have got to act on this. If you feel like it's worth having, then it's worth going through the trouble of being uncomfortable to do it. It's worth you moving forward, giving into it, trying to see if this is something that you can make into something, that you can blossom into something, that you can create something from, that you can build something from. Because the coin that she's holding here is one that is associated with being the cornerstone of which the 10 of coins is supposed to be built on, I've heard before. And so if that's going to be the case, if you guys are going to move towards marriage or some kind of long-term commitment, it may be that you need to bring up the discussion of some kind of engagement. Or if you've been engaged for a while now, maybe it's time to set a date. If you have been wanting to lock this thing down, so to speak, it may be up to you to do it. Definitely know that nothing ventured means that nothing has been gained. A little risk doesn't come without, of course, the worry and concern of things being risky, but hey, no risk, no reward. You've got to be willing to take the gamble. The Star. Okay, so the Star card. So this is fantastic, actually, because the Star card talks about there being great hope about the outcome of the situation. It also talks about there being divine guidance at play in terms of either you guys coming into marriage or you guys coming into a long-term commitment. But it definitely talks about you needing to have faith that this next move is going to be your best move. And so moving from there, so this situation seems to have an energy here of being possible to transform. So if that is the case, then, well, we will ask Spirit, how do we transform this situation? So we have the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords, once again, talks about potential. But this is potential for ideas, potential for communication. And the Page of Swords is someone who is really good at communication. They may not necessarily have the best of luck, I feel like, with certain situations where there's turmoil. Maybe you're worried about getting tongue-tied. Maybe you're worried about saying the wrong thing. But one thing's for sure is there is good potential for great communication here. And it's important that you're willing to take the chance to get out there and make things clear. The Knight of Cups. Y'all. Oh, y'all. The Knight of Cups. So this is about making The romantic gesture, you know, making things clear, offering your little cup of happiness, your little cup of love. The nights are all about taking action. So this is somebody that you're really wanting to step into some sense of love, or maybe even like, you know, if this is like a school situation and you don't know them very well, maybe you ought to ask them out for like a cup of socially distanced safe coffee, so to speak. Or maybe you need to ask them for whatever their social media accounts are and slide them DMs. Hit them with the hey, hi, hello, how are you? The Hierophant reverse. So, upon further review, then, so that this could be for those of you who are wondering about marriage or some kind of long term commitment. The Hierophant is a card that is associated with those things. And it could be one of two things, is that there needs to be some kind of review about the circumstances of your relationship. One thing I definitely know, because I myself am polyamorous, is that monogamous folks don't negotiate their relationships. Not saying that it's intentional, not saying that, you know, by being polyamorous, I automatically knew to do those things, but there needs to be some kind of term, some kind of guidelines established here if you guys are going to do this. Commitments don't happen by accident. We should be trying to be as, what's the word I'm looking for? As autonomous and self-fulfilling as possible. And it could be that you choosing not to step forward and not wanting to be uncomfortable was going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy where you don't end up getting what you want as a result. It could also be that it may be necessary for you guys to renegotiate the relationship and step away from whatever kind of conventions or traditions may be holding it back a bit. So this could be in a situation where, say, for example, if you're of two different religious faiths. So if one of you is like, I don't know, Catholic, and the other person is like Lutheran or pescatarian. I'm sorry, not not pescatarian. That's when you eat fish, but you know what I mean. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, y'all. I don't know. I was raised Southern Baptist. I can't pronounce the word, but my point is that if this is a hurdle that is before you, that is a conversation that you need to have. It's not going to be easy, but if you're trying to marry them, then you have to ask, what are we doing with the kids? How are we raising the babies? You know, like, are they going to church with you on Saturdays and church with me on Sundays? You know what I mean? What are we doing for the holidays? These are the kind of conversations that make people avoid going after what they want. But the truth is that no matter what being you serve, I feel like your personal happiness should be the whole point, or why are you doing it? You know, everything else is really just the details associated with culture. And while these things are important, it's also a good point to recognize that they really shouldn't be more important than you knowing that you're in love with someone and that you want to take your time and work it out. And that's what marriage should be all about. That's what long-term connections and relationships should be about. It's figuring out what between the two of you works for you. And then from there, well, the rest is just compromise. 8 of Wands. Okay, great. So we already have some fantastic energy here of some change. There's going to be some quick, fast communication between you. Maybe even having some boundaries that need to come under review. Maybe there is some narratives that you've been carrying that is a good time for you to step back and really get some clarity on by talking about them between you guys. And then also it could be that you are being advised to know that whether you make this move or not, something's going to change. I can't say that change is going to be negative with the star card here, but once again, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And sometimes if you don't want to make the move, Spirit will make it for you because they know you've got things to do. We have the 6 of Coins reversed. So the 6 of Coins is usually associated with equal give and take, with charity and charitable donations, giving if you have more to someone who has less. And with it being reversed, it talks about there not being necessarily an even exchange here, or there needs to be a review about who's putting in what in the relationship, and if either of you have been carrying more of the brunt of that work than the other person, because a relationship should not be on all of one person's shoulder to carry, and you should be able to marry someone, so to speak, or enter into a long-term connection with someone who is going to help you carry all of the things that needs to happen energetically. Okay? And so this is our advice and outcome for you guys. We have Malkuth, the kingdom. Tiferet, beauty. Kushiel, angel of punishment. And Chesed, the angel of empathy. This is from the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations deck, which is based off of the tenets of Kabbalah, with the association being the tree of life. So the tree of life represents basically what the Kabbalists understand as God, or Yesod as they call him, which is supposed to be God's true name. Either way here, it associates very strongly with various aspects of our lives that we navigate to come closer to our truth, which is what we can probably associate it with God or divine understanding. So kingdom, the kingdom. Waiting on some clarity. Okay, clarity. So with the kingdom, this talks about marrying into a system that may be burying your feelings, so to speak, or your understanding or your needs. This is about recognizing that you may be mirroring one of another, in terms of not taking things into a space where you feel like your relationship is going to get into trouble, so to speak. The kingdom of Angelarium talks about basically having a seat in the ground floor of all the doors revolving around you at once. This is about you knowing what you want and recognizing that the other person may also know what they want, but it is necessary for you two to come into union first through communication and understanding, and then from there working through the details necessary for building your kingdom. It's associated with the ground because it's associated with the earth, and it's associated with grounding again. So basically, it's time to take this relationship from it being in a place of fantasy, or basically only existing in the mind, and bringing it down to the ground floor of reality. If this is something that you've been waiting for, or something that you've been hoping to work towards, it's time to take it out of the hope stage and move it into the physical realm, where you two are actually creating the relationship or the reality that you want to live in. And Tiferet, beauty, heart. Tiferet talks about us knowing that we are all part of some great system that makes up our overall reality. This could come from a place of recognizing that you are exactly who you need to be, where you need to be, and that you deserve to have a family. That there is beauty in this world, but sometimes this beauty has to be created by us. And it may be difficult when your head is all in a swirl of all of these different things about how, things won't work out for us, or how things are going to be so difficult for us. And it's a necessity for you to recognize that sometimes in life, we don't necessarily get things to play out exactly the way that we want. And it's not even necessary for it to be the way that we want. If we can build the life of our dreams, we are able to do so by basing those things on what we understand of things being associated with a certain level of realism. So basically, if there is a truth that you know that you should be sharing, you should share that truth. You should share it with the knowledge of understanding that it could be well received. And if it's well received, then you've made the first step necessary to marrying them, coming into a long-term commitment with them, and with creating a life of beauty that you both want. Don't worry so much about scaring them off. One thing's for sure is that I'm soft, which is another name for Angelarium. It exists in all of us. It makes up all of us. It is all of our understandings of ourselves, of the world around us, and how we all represent a unique universe within ourselves. So all of the things that you've learned, all the things you've experienced, and all the things you desire coming into harmony through trust, faith, going for what you want, accepting passivity when you're waiting to receive what you've asked for, enduring, having patience. All of these things can be represented by the different aspects of Angelarium. And Kushiel, the angel of punishment, talks about you not beating up on yourself. That it is okay to feel unsure of yourself, but don't stay there. You are worthy of all the love that you are trying to have. You are worthy of the life that you are trying to build. And it's important that you recognize that you have a role to fulfill. And sometimes we have, great things that the universe is expect us to, to continue to try and to do, and to put ourselves out there in ways that allow us to shape who we really are and who we really want and are meant to be. And Kushiel, the angel of punishment, represents to me recognizing that we can punish ourselves for feeling as if we don't have what we need to fulfill what we want or to do what's necessary. And it's important that you know that there's no reason for you to punish yourself by wanting something but it's important to recognize that feeling that you don't deserve to have what you want is also a form of punishment. And is also very similar to the Eight of Swords, where you don't have to stay in any situation where you feel like, everything that you want is only going to decay or rot around you or fall apart if you try or if you push or if you do anything short of staying exactly where you are. Nobody's trying to punish you. You've come so far in all that you've wanted to do. Don't deny yourself anything, because you can go even further than you realize. And that's why Chesed, the right hand and the angel of empathy, is here. Empathy, I feel like the message for that is clear, but it also talks about you needing to have empathy for yourself. Take care of your mental health. Recognize that it is okay to trust yourself, that you don't need to feel deep guilt about any of the things that you feel that you're trying to get or have for yourself, that it's okay to take time for yourself to figure out exactly what it is that you want, that you don't necessarily have to push yourself past the point of no return, that it is okay for you to recognize that all of this situation is a lesson learned, and that you are able to move forward from it and be stronger, which is why it's important not to get too caught up on feeling disappointed. If you have tried with this person and it didn't work out, know that love is never a loss. Every time you step out of your shell and try to get the love that you desire, even if this other person can't return your feelings or they're not returning them in the way that you want or deserve, that it's okay, because you've still had your feelings heard. And there is always another day and another chance for you to come to everything that you want, and you just have to consider it a lesson learned. But I thank you so much, Pile 3, for being here with me and checking in on this reading. And be sure to check out the description box below to see what else I have offering and how to book a personal reading if you would like one. And do be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you have a good day and good luck on your journey.